In Europe, three funds are taking a similar approach by strategically creating time together in regular intervals to grow shared approaches, increase collaboration across borders. Here today is Markéta Honková, who made it from Prague in the Czech Republic despite all air travel disruptions, and will talk to us about how the Slovak-Czech Women's Fund, the Reconstruction Women's Fund in Serbia, and the Women's Fund in Georgia are seizing the moment to strengthen regional ties and cooperation.
Good morning. It's kind of ironic that I'm talking about learning bridges all the time in the big gatherings and conferences and workshops since 2 years, because the impulse for this initiative was to run away from conferences and create our own space where we can learn and share without having anything imposed. But we have to say that thanks to these conferences, we have this initiative. Because we learned each other here, but we realized that we cannot learn enough about each other. So the three funds, the Reconstruction Women's Fund in Serbia, Slovak-Czech Women's Fund, and Women's Fund in Georgia decided to create a common initiative called Learning Bridges. Even if we are the funds with different actual political situation and different social situation, we have something in common, and it's the very strong and similar political stance. And we realized that this is enough for us to try to share and learn from each other. We are the same size, we are the same age, and we are facing the same challenges, all of us. Being now 6 years old, everybody expects from us to develop the systems, to track the donors, to have a great PR, to have fantastic database of grantees and all this. And we all need the same, but we prioritize differently, and we realize that we can actually seize the moment by sharing this and sharing the done systems. So we decided on making the peer-to-peer visits, which means that each fund is going to visit the other fund on the side and is spending sometimes working day to day with the other fund and seeing what concretely the fund is doing. There are three main preconditions to do this cooperation successful. One is absolute trust. And even if it sounds like something very clear, it's not so obvious and it's not so usual to have it. Because you have to have the trust that the partner with whom you are working will show you also the weaknesses and the failures and be able to share with you what did not work out. The other precondition is to be very concrete in what do you want to learn from each other. So we spend a lot of time to showing to each other what are our strengths and weaknesses and what can we offer to the other funds, the PR, the database, whatever it can be. And the third condition is that it's coming from you, that it's not a donor offering this possibility. So when we created this initiative, we actually asked our sister funds to support us, and by our common fundraising, it became also the common funding because Global Fund, Mamakesh and Filia decided to support this initiative. And now after 2 years, we are by the end and we are coming to the last visit and evaluation meeting. I have to say that these projects are very low budget, it's very cost effective, it's efficient. And we learned a lot, and actually it's now the basis of a peer learning cross-regional program of the International Network of Women's Funds. And we are planning to have this as a model project for the Europe. And as a result of these 2.5 years that we worked together, we are now planning to do very concrete things together. One of them is probably a common database, because it will mean we will save the money and we will save the human resources. And the other is to try probably the very first common grant making in the region. So I would just recommend everybody to do it, because it's just great.
Thank you, Markéta.